And hello, good timers. Welcome to our refrigerator. As you can see, we are, well, in our kitchen, obviously, and there's only one reason for that. That's because it's time for another segment of Cooking with Andy and Simone.
Oh, am I cooking?
Well, no, you're not going to cook. You're going to taste it.
I'm going to eat.
Yeah, she's going to eat and taste it, but close enough. She's going to be in the video, so we're going to include her, I guess. But guys, this is based on another challenge, yet again, from L&D, Lisa and Drew Adventures. That's right, guys. You know how much Drew loves to cook, and this time he cooked beef stew. So guess what I'm making? Beef stew. That's right. You've seen Drew's version, so now it's time to see mine. We'll see which one you guys like better. Once again, another food challenge, and here we go, guys. Time to cook some beef stew. Alright, good timers. So the first thing we're going to do is start cutting up our vegetables. As you saw, I already had some onions cut and some carrots cut, but I'm going to cut a little bit more carrots. I'm also going to cut up these mushrooms here. We're going to probably quarter those for this stew. Potatoes I'm going to cut a little bit later because we're going to add those to the stew a little bit later. But first of all, I'm going to start sauteing all these vegetables that I have now together. So that's where we're going to cut those first. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get cutting here. So guys, the great thing about beef stew is that you can customize your vegetables. So I know a lot of people don't like mushrooms, so if you don't want mushrooms, don't put them in there. I happen to love mushrooms, so my stew is going to be loaded with them. Some people don't like peas, so don't put peas in there if you don't like them, but a lot of people do love peas, and you'll quite often see that in stews. Some people also put green beans in here. So yeah, there's all kinds of variety of stuff. Some people put turnip in there, carrots obviously. But yeah, stew is great because you can customize it however you like. So don't be afraid of using other vegetables besides what I'm using today. So one of the keys to a good beef stew, guys, is to coat the beef in something like some kind of flour and some kind of seasonings. That'll give you a nice crisp coating on your beef, and then you can add it to your stew after that, and it'll finish cooking in the stew. But you want to get that nice sear on the beef first, and that flour and seasonings will help do that. So I'm going to show you that now. Got myself a little Ziploc bag here. Got myself some arrowroot flour. Arrowroot flour is good, guys, because it's almost like cornstarch. It's going to be used to thicken the stew a lot, so that's why I'm going to use it to coat my beef. So that way it's used as a coating for the beef and also for a thickener for your stew. To that, I'm going to add some Mrs. Dash. This is an onion and herb one that I enjoy, and also a little bit of Worcestershire black pepper. So the Worcestershire flavor is right in there with that black pepper already, so that'll be good. And also just a pinch of thyme, and then some salt and pepper. So that'll be what's used for our seasonings for this beef, and I'll show you that right now. All right, so I've got about a cup's worth of flour here, guys. To that, I'm going to add probably about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of this Mrs. Dash. So about that much. We're going to go a little bit lighter on the pepper, but probably about 1 tablespoon of that. There we go. Then, like I said, just a little pinch of thyme. Later on, if our stew needs a little bit more time, then we'll go ahead and season it up a little bit more, but for now, just about that much. And then, oh yeah, right, can't forget the salt. Always make sure you salt and pepper everything, guys, unless it has salt and pepper already in it, but obviously beef does not, so we're going to do a little bit of salt in there as well. So, all right, next thing is to cut open this beef. And this beef I get from my favorite butcher box, and it's already diced up. All the fat's been removed as much as possible, so we don't have to worry about that either. So be careful when you're opening this, guys. You don't want your raw meat juice to go everywhere. Nobody wants that. So yeah, once you've got these open, just going to grab that bag of flour here, give it a good shake so all the seasonings are evenly distributed. So just like that. Turn it upside down. Make sure you got it sealed up when you do this. All right, into that we're going to add just these pieces of stew meat, guys. Break them up as we put them in there. It's actually about 2 pounds of beef here, guys. And I always go a little bit heavy on the meat in my beef stew because it's called beef stew. If I want it to be lots of vegetables, I'd call it vegetable stew. So we're not doing that. We're doing beef stew. So we're going to load it right up. I got about 2 pounds of beef here, actually. That's what it ends up being. So if you want less meat in your stew, then put less meat in it. But I find in my life that most people love the meat. We got this bag all sealed up now. Once again, make sure it's sealed good, because you're going to want to get your frustrations out a little bit and you don't want to wear it. So, all right, got it sealed up good, and let's give it a good shake here. You want all these pieces to be nice and evenly coated here, guys. So don't be afraid of mixing it up too much, no such thing. All right, let's take a look at this, guys. So nice and snowy looking, as you can see, so that's perfect. That's just what you want. That's going to form that nice crust here on these steak tips. So, all right, let's get sauteing. All right, so first things first here, we're going to turn this oven on to the probably about an 8, we'll say. Maybe let's go with 7 on it. So we're going to start off with a 7 or 8 here, guys. So basically medium-high heat to saute it. I've got myself my favorite cast iron pan here, so we're going to just let that heat up for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to add some extra virgin olive oil to it, and you can use vegetable oil, you can use olive oil, canola, you can even use butter if you like. So whichever you like, coconut oil is fine. So whatever kind of oil you prefer, go ahead and saute your beef in that. But we're going to go olive oil here today. All right, so this pan feels pretty hot now, guys. We've preheated it. You always want to preheat your pans before you add the oil. That's going to help prevent the oil from burning on you. So yeah, we're just going to add, as you can see, this oil spreading out real nice. That means it's a nice and hot pan we got here. All right, so we're just going to add these beef. We're not going to add all of it at once, guys, because you want to give it a little bit of room to cook. As you can see, the flour has soaked into it quite a bit. That's all right. It'll still form the crust that we need. And you want to have a little bit of a sizzle here, guys, when you're doing this. Now once this is done sauteing, guys, and we're going to brown it on all 4 sides if we can. So once that's done sauteing, we're going to add it right to the crock pot. And this stew today is going to go for probably about 5 hours or so. So my theory is the longer you can cook your stew, the better off you're going to be. Alright, so you can see the beef in there is now all done. That's all 2 pounds of it there, guys. And we're going to put that into the slow cooker here in just a few minutes. And then we're going to start sauteing up our vegetables. As you can see, guys, I've left a lot of leftover beef drippings and flour here in the pan. That's going to be okay, because once we cook the vegetables in there, it's going to absorb a lot of that. And then we're going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of beef stock, and I'll show you that process here in just a few minutes. But first of all, let's get sauteing some vegetables. To the pan, we're going to add basically a mirepoix. If you guys don't know what mirepoix is, it's a seasoning blend used to basically flavor most soups and stews. So basically it's celery, onions, and carrots. So we're going to saute all those together, and then we're going to add the mushrooms after that. But first of all, yeah, let's go ahead and get this stuff all going. All right. And we're just going to saute all this together, guys, and once it's done, we'll add that, obviously, to the crock pot along with the beef. All right, guys, as you can see now, the vegetables are pretty well translucent, so we're going to go ahead and add those to the beef here in just a minute. But first of all, I want to add about 2 tablespoons of garlic to this. I didn't add it first because you don't want your garlic to burn. Nobody likes burnt garlic, especially in my stew. So we're just going to add 2 tablespoons or so of minced garlic here. All right, there we go. Stir that in a little bit. And then this is all going to go right into that crock pot. Alright, guys, so next up we got the mushrooms. Now this is going to look like a lot of mushrooms to start with, guys, but remember, mushrooms are about 90% water, so they're going to shrink up and not look like much at all once we're done. These mushrooms have absorbed most of the water, or most of the water has come out of them, I should say. They've turned nice and brown, so what we're going to do now is we're going to deglaze this pan get all those little bits of flour and onion and meat and stuff that's on the bottom of this pan and get it right into the broth after this. So this is going to be great. It's going to add lots of flavor to your stew, guys, if you do this. And it's a nice way to clean the pan as well. So add a little bit of hot broth to this just to deglaze it, like I said, and make sure you scrape the bottom of your pan, guys. That's where all the stuff is. So take your spoon and just scrape along the edges and get all those little bits up. Now you don't have to wait for the mushrooms to absorb all this before you dump in the crock pot. You can dump in the crock pot just as it is. And the rest of this broth, right there, is going to go right into our pan. And this is a 32-ounce box of broth here, guys. So you're going to add all that right to the crock pot. Don't be afraid, guys, to add more broth as needed. We're going to let this go just like this for a little while, though, because a lot of those vegetables still have some water in them. So this is going to get a little bit larger, get a little bit more broth in it, I should say, as it cooks. Okay, guys, and as you can see, all of our ingredients are now in the crock pot. Looks almost good enough to eat right now if that beef wasn't half raw still. Plus, we're going to add some potatoes and a little bit more carrots as well. We're going to let this go for about 3 hours, though, first, guys, before we add our potatoes to it and our carrots. And it's going to go cook for probably about 5 hours total. So I'm going to let it go 3 hours just like this, then add a little bit more broth if needed, plus add our potatoes and carrots, and we'll show you that here in about 3 hours. All right, so we'll see you guys on the other side. So for potatoes, I end up buying these small little ones, guys, because they don't require any kind of cutting. You can just add them directly to the stew and let them cook. So they're very convenient, but obviously if you want to cut your own potatoes, you can do that as well. So it doesn't really matter what kind. They're all going to be boiled down anyway. So if you like red, throw some red in there. And these wrens right here are Yukon Gold. So they are going to go directly into the stew here, and we'll stir those in along with the carrots that we cut earlier. All right, guys, so the potatoes and carrots are in there now. We're just going to give those a quick stir. Incorporate them in. And I add these at the last couple hours, guys, just so they stay a little bit al dente. I don't want them completely broken down like the other vegetables are in there. So we like to have a little bit of chunkiness here with the beef stew. Adds a nice consistency to it. So some things will be a little bit larger, some things will be a little bit smaller, and it's all going to taste great. So this is a good time to do a taste test, actually, guys. If you hadn't yet, you should always taste your food. Make sure you don't need any more salt or any more pepper or anything like that. I actually did taste this a few minutes ago, and it's just about perfect. So I'm not going to add anything to it right now. As you can see, the beef stew is done, so the only thing left to do now is to eat it. So for that, we have obviously our special guest, and she is special, all right.
I'm special.
And there she is.
You didn't get me a spoon.
No, I didn't, but I got you a whole bowl with a fresh biscuit on top, because you have to have biscuits when you have your beef stew.
All right, I'll get a big spoon for a big bite.
So there we go, fresh biscuit out of the oven.
Very pretty.
Let's see what the queen thinks here.
It's a big piece of meat. I'm gonna cut it up a little.
Oh, you're used to big pieces of meat, you're fine.
Yeah. It looks very good. It's got a nice consistency.
It does. It thickened up nice, guys, and that was just from the arrowroot flour that we used. We didn't put any other thickeners in there.
I give it 2 thumbs up.
All right, 2 thumbs up, guys. So it is ready, and I'm going to have some of it to eat myself. So thank you for joining us today. The beef stew has got 2 thumbs up. So with that, oh yeah, you know what? I should tell you that we're going to Vegas in a week and a half. So looking forward to that, obviously. We're going to meet all kinds of people, and there's supposedly some kind of special wedding going on or something there. So
rumor has it.
That'll be fun as well. So join us for Vegas here in a couple of weeks, guys. And until then, have a great time. Or no.
No.
No, don't have a great time. Just have a good time.
Have a good time.
That's right. Have a good time, guys.
Let's have a drink, just relax, all your problems will fade. If you're ready for a good time, count on me. There's a party in the backyard, dance your problems away. I'm all about the good vibes, I know you're all about the good vibes.